Welcome, guys. I am excited. I have been, oh my gosh, it's been a crazy month, and I really want to update with you guys on some stuff. On top of it, I had an interview with Crystal Starnes last month. Well, actually, this month. Tomorrow will be the 1st of May. But anyways, it was awesome. This woman is an incredibly amazing woman. She was a parole officer, and she oh my goodness gracious, her backstory is just inspiring. She was a parole officer who had a boss who was also a judge. He started sexually harassing her and forcing her to do things that she really wasn't comfortable with, but because she was fearing her job, retaliation, she finally, after years, was able to no more. And she went and took him to court for this issue that she was facing because of him. And guess what? She won. She won against the judge. You know how rare it is as a woman to go up against your abusers and win in court, especially against a judge. Ooh, God, what a win. So, if you have not heard my interview, I highly recommend going down in the basement, clicking that link, and going hearing it firsthand. We will be listening to some of this today, and we'll be going over some of my, how I felt in my nerves. Oh God, I was so nervous. I was so nervous. But then we'll talk about possibly a surprise later down the road. But first, we're gonna go, and I'm so excited. Now, where did I do with that file? There it is. So, see if we can get started here.
And Ms. Stubby is a Kung Fu instructor, multi-award winning illustrator and author, international artist, and inspiring YouTuber who has survived a lot of abuse from a young age into her adulthood. She has goals in life to create good art and write loved novels. She wants to create good art and teach about good martial artists who can defend themselves against a growing, uncertain world. Let's welcome Ms. Stubby to the show.
I want to stop there. It is so weird for me as a disabled person, as somebody who's been kicked around, beat up, just raped, horrible things have happened, to hear that being said by someone who is making it big into the business and doing the things that she is doing. She's trying to help survivors and everything. Just to hear I'm an international artist, to hear that I have books. I have a book, Molly the Dog with Diabetes, is put into a private medical museum collection for a college. Two of the books I have done has won awards. It mind blows me away that I can state this. I'm a published author. I am an international author. I have books now in the UK, and I have, it's just me, a nobody. Holy crap. It's really amazing to me to hear somebody else state that. It doesn't register all the time. It does not register that I do these things, that I have done these things, I am doing these things. And so it's still it really is. Anyways, let's keep going.
Hi, Ms. Stubby. How are you tonight?
Hi.
I'm working on a novel about what has happened to me. It's called Carmen Cox. And I put it into a fiction way because when I try to talk about my past, I dissociate a lot. So this was a really easier way to do it. And I got the first draft done. I'm so excited.
So, my novel. All right. Backstory. I have a really good friend named Jessica Upley, brilliant author. She really is a brilliant author. I love reading, Stephen King's, Iris Johannesson, Patterson. I mean, these big name authors. And she should be up there with them. She really should be. She has the skill set. She has the storytelling down. This girl should be famous. But, so how Carmen Cox got started is Jess and I get a lot of back. I'm spoiled. She's always telling me, it's like, read this paragraph, what do you think? And then I get invested in her story. And so she wanted to do some interviews of her characters from Exotic Birds and Solve for X. And so I put on my best interviewee person, Rob. I think I went with a Rob Stewart kind of feel, but only in female. And so Carmen Cox became a thing, and she's in love with one of the characters named Aaron. And so I'm doing all these interviews and I'm having fun. We're joking around. I'm asking hard questions, you know, pretending these people are real and whatnot. It's so much fun. And it just hit me. It's like, I could do it. I could tell my story in this way, because it's really hard to think about the horribleness things that have happened, and it shuts me down. I start to dissociate, and what dissociation kind of feels like, everybody does it to a point. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you're there at your destination. That's dissociation. You're daydreaming. Dissociation. You kind of spaced out and completely missed half the conversation. Dissociation. Then you get to a more extreme version, which I have, which is called dissociative identity disorder. I believe I am more of a multiple personality versus dissociative, but that's a whole nother thing. But I switch people. You know, it's not just me split into parts of me. There's me, and then there's other people in my head. And that's a really hard concept for people to understand how this works. Unless case you've been through it and you have it. It just, it's different for every person too who you develop it. And the way you get dissociative identity disorder is through extreme long-term horrific abuse, or extreme long-term trauma. Like, you constantly are in like an earthquake zone. It's just earthquake like every third to fourth day. It's just non-stop. It's trauma that causes this at a young age. So when you are a child and you're developing normally, you have your sense of self and you create that self. You learn your likes, your dislikes, etc., etc. But when you're abused at that age, you have the person who needs to deal with the abuse, but you still got to act normal. So you have another person who takes over all the normal responsibilities, and then somebody else comes in and abuses you. You might split again, because that person might require a certain type of actions out of you from the abuse versus somebody else. And when you're just constantly going through, for me, it was foster home after foster home after foster home. And then I went into the adoption home, and the stepmother and her youngest son was, my brain couldn't process all that. So, but it was smart enough and clever enough. It's like, something, you are demanded to act a certain way. So we got to figure this out. And so it's kept splitting to deal with all the situations that needed to be had, because the requirements on such a young mind was too much. So in a way, I'm not crazy. I'm actually pretty clever. The whole brain is very, very clever it's like, okay, we got to do it in this way in order to survive. And so it did. And then over the years, each of those people, those alters, whatever you want to call them, develop their own likes, their own dislikes, their own religious beliefs. Some of them even have developed their own eyesight differences. So like, some days I can take off my glasses and my eyes are going straight. This eye ain't going wonky. I can see really well. And then other days I'm like, even with my glasses, I'm like doing the 40-year-old when they reach out. It happens. I have an alter inside of me who loves Fruit Loops. Like, that's her thing. I hate them. I think they're disgusting. But when she's out, the brain and her chemistry that makes her loves it. So it's just really cool and fascinating in that aspect. You also, with Dissociative, you get a lot more talents because everybody has their own interests. So one personality is very good at art. You might notice that on my channel. I got a lot of art. You see my guitar here, Pearl. One of my peoples is extremely good at music and singing and just playing and creating in that way. Another, like, if you look through my journals, you'll see different handwriting styles, different ways they write. One minute you might see a paragraph just full of horrible grammar and spelling. And then the next, like, couple pages down, it's like really neat writing, very good spelling, and proper grammar. And it's just like, what happened here? You know, if you weren't knowledgeable to know what was going on, you would be very, very confused by that journal. So, with that being said, when I went to go write this book, Carmen Cox, I had to figure out a way to get the horribleness that I dealt with out. And so I put it into a fictional story. But the events that happen when I finally get this published and you read this, the things that have happened happened either to me or my foster brothers and sisters. It was the only way where I wouldn't completely dissociate. And even writing this book, there was a while, or like 2 or 3 months, I was like dissociated so bad I couldn't even work on it. I still don't remember what all happened during that time. Nothing like bad happened. I just couldn't be present. So this book is very, very, it's very healing. It's good though too. Like, my therapist is like, "Girl, you need a publisher," and I'm like, yeah, but they cost money. It takes money to publish and get out there and do what it takes to make this book actually work. And I got a long ways to go, but I do have the first draft done. There's a few more scenes I want to write in there. Justin and I are also collaborating and getting our characters to meet up. And so we're trying to get the timeline right. So because she's an established writer, I'm letting her finish her version, and then I'm just going to adjust to her. So that way things are... I'm pretty flexible in that. I really don't care. The main part of the story was me getting this out so I can start healing and moving forward. But it's going to be a good book. It's a page turner. Like, I start editing, I'm like, click, and then I'm like, and I start scrolling. And then like 20 pages later, it's like, oh crap, I forgot I was supposed to be editing. I have to scroll back because I get into my story. So that should be a good sign, right? But anyways, so I talked about my book in here, and which is really cool. She's very interested in that.
And perfect, but my bike wasn't. And so I went to Kung Fu and learned self-defense. And now my bite is just as sharp as my bark.
If you haven't noticed, oh, here we go. I teach Kung Fu. I love it. About 8 years ago, I tried going back to Taekwondo. My knees couldn't handle it. The pressures on there. So I ended up having to go to physical therapy. At physical therapy, I saw a guy do the first form of Wing Chun, and I'm like, I know that form. So I went up to him, I asked him, can you please teach me? And he goes, no, but I know somebody who could. And that's when I met my former Sifu. That's a whole nother long story. I'm still really angry. I'm not ready to talk about that yet, because I'm still very angry and very hurt and disappointed and ashamed of what they've done. But I fell in love instantly. I knew that was the style for me. It made sense. It worked great. I was learning quickly. It's Wing Chun. I tell people it makes me feel beautiful. I'm not the most beautiful girl, but I ain't the most ugliest either. Now, I don't look too good. I don't look too bad for being 42, I don't do makeup. I don't do anything too crazy with my hair. I don't sit there and think, oh my gosh, I need to go. I can't. No, I'm a tomboy, and I'm happy with that. But to feel beautiful, and I mean by that is, it's like when you watch an eagle soar through the sky, and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. That feeling is what Kung Fu does for me. The freedom, the ability just to be yourself and be able to back up a no. That freedom is beautiful to me. I have so many goals I would like to achieve with my Kung Fu. To continue the club. Like yesterday, one of my students, one of my very, very dedicated students, came with me because I do teach private lessons, and I was supposed to teach 4 children. Instead, I got all 5. Literally, he was so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh, he wanted to participate so bad. I'm like, nope, let him participate. He's that interested, he's that dedicated, and he's paying that much attention to detail. You let that boy be. You just let him learn. I'm okay with it. I will just let me teach him. And boy, he was probably the best, most dedicated student there. Was the littlest one. I'm like, all right, kid, you cool. You can come in. But I'm expanding, I'm growing something that I truly believe in, that I truly believe will benefit women, that will benefit children, that will benefit the LGBTQ plus community. I believe that would even benefit just your average Joe who's like looking for health benefits, serenity, calmness, because I also include Zen Buddhism into the Wing Chun that I teach. And my dog likes balls. So it's I'm incorporating so many things into this, and I would like to see it expand. I would like to see people grow from it and achieve things. And one of the first things I had to learn to become a Sifu was to create a program, and I created what's called the White Crane Project, and it was for women, and it was awesome. Dog. And so they got 1 hour Kung Fu, so self-defense Kung Fu. And then afterwards was a peer support, which we had a licensed therapist there, so when they talked about it, and if they got triggered, we actually had someone there who was properly trained to help them through it. Because Kung Fu can be, when you have been abused, when you have punches coming at you, right? It's really intimidating. It's really flashbacky, and you are going to break down. You're gonna have snot running. Like I wasn't always the most prettiest. Well, hello Tilly. Well, person, and I had my Kung Fu tears, and so I wanted to make sure that they had what they needed to help them heal the best. And I still talk to a lot of the girls. I still talk to a lot of the people who participated in that, and they are still using that knowledge and the things that they gathered from that program even today. And like, I have to pass this on. It's such a beautiful gift. It's such an amazing thing to learn. I love it. It makes me happy, and it makes me just feel full of joy and peace to be able to do what I do. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. If you want to learn more about the Kung Fu, I am on Facebook, Vitten Wing Chun Kung Fu, and you can look on there. I'm also on Vitten Kung Fu on Instagram. I am trying to be a little bit more open about it, but I'm a little shy. But if you do have questions, never ever be afraid to ask me them. I love questions. I encourage questions. And if I don't know, I will be honest and state, I don't know. I will figure it out, and if I can't figure out, I will find someone who does know, and then I will come back to you. There is no shame in not knowing, because not everybody's gonna, nobody on this planet can know everything. No matter how much you've dedicated your life to something, you might be an expert, but even experts still have much to learn. And if you go to somebody who's like, yes, I know everything, dude, run. Because you don't want that kind of cocky attitude in influencing your kung fu. You want honesty, you want the calmness, you want the you want to be humble. You want somebody who's going to be humble and be honest with you about what they can or cannot do, what they're willing to grow, and share that with you. That's what you want to look for in your Sifu or Kung Fu teacher or any kind of martial artist. I've had friends teach me Kempo. I've had karate when I was a little kid. I had 2 different Taekwondo teachers, and things like that. So I'm surrounded by pets right now, so if you see me like doing this, it's me making sure they're behaving. Let's continue, because I could talk forever about Kung Fu. So let's zoom a little bit more forward in this.
I think that's amazing. I like just listening to you talk about it, like it, you can like hear it, like the relief in your voice, and you know that it does help, you know, with healing and everything, because
very much so.
You did my foster brothers and sisters, and that's where that novel Carmen Cox-Julie comes in, and the events that happened in the foster home.
Let's talk about the foster home. I was put into foster care about at a year old. My mother has schizophrenia. I was taken away from her about a month. I was thrown in, from everything I gathered. My aunt took me in, and during that time, while I was in therapy, I had this memory, and my brain was screaming 3 times. She did it 3 times. I managed to find my medical records, and sure enough, she brought me in there 3 times from her putting bleach in my baby bottle, and then claiming that my biological mother was trying to dope me up with her medication. They would test me for the medication, find nothing, but I just wasn't acting normal. But it was enough damage done that they immediately took me away from my mom permanently, and then they took me away from her, and I became part of the system. When you be back in the 80s, foster care is not what it is today. They don't have strict guidelines and things that are required for you to be a foster parent. A lot of us kids were raped, we were beaten, we were tortured, we were thrown in rooms and locked in there for days. We were just a lot of horrific things. And you were bottom of the barrel as a citizen. Even if you did nothing wrong, even though there was nothing wrong with you, if you came from the foster care system, there was something immediately wrong with you, and you were treated as such, and it sucked. And then when I was 7, I went into the adoption home, and first day I was there, I got slapped across the face, and immediately it was just like, it's just another foster home. And my beautiful dream of having a happy and beautiful adoption was just another 12.5-year nightmare. Don't get me wrong, when she wasn't around, when her son wasn't around, I was happy. I was content. I would go by the creek, I would hang out there, hang out in the barns, and just stay away from the house as much as possible, just so I could stay away from them. And because it was safer mentally and emotionally, and I didn't have to put up with her yanking my hair out, or slamming me up against stuff, or smacking me in the face. She hit me so much in my nose, I had to have it cauterized in high school, because just this massive amount of blood just would go everywhere. It looked like a murder scene. I was in the locker room, and I had like 2 or 3 massive nosebleeds, and because it just would go everywhere, it looked like somebody got murdered, and it was horrific. It was bad. It was enough that she was forced by the school. It's like, you need to take care of this. She cannot be bleeding like this all over the locker room. You need to take care of it. And finally, she was forced to go take me to the doctor. And then they take these long matchsticks things, these sulfur matchsticks, and shove it up your nose to cauterize the blood vessels that are causing these huge It hurt so bad. But haven't had a huge major nosebleeds ever since, so thank God that happened and I got it taken care of, but highly not recommend. Yeah, she was not a good mother. You know, she had her, I grew up in this Republican household, and she was just racist, and I grew up around the racism, I grew around the sexism, like, because I'm a girl, I wasn't allowed to do the martial arts I wanted to do, I wasn't allowed to go to Girl Scouts, I wasn't allowed to do anything that I wanted to do, but I was forced to do the things she wanted me to do, like volleyball or basketball, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm decent at volleyball. I got kicked out of a few games because I hit too hard, and that's because I focused her face on the ball and I just let loose because it was my only outlet. I'm like, fine, if I'm forced to play this, bam, you know. Oh, yeah, I was not a happy camper. Look at this, look at this is what my dog's like all excited about right now. He's like circling me right now, back and forth. Oh goodness. But anyway, so yeah, 2.5 years of that. I was a hot mess by the time I got to high school, and I was dissociating so horrifically that I had no idea if I was awake or not. Like, and it was so confusing. And because all I ever knew was abuse, like most people who've been abused, you find abusive relationships because that's what you know and recognize and understand how to handle. And I went through that a lot until finally I learned what healthy boundaries was in therapy, and when I tried to practice them, it's like, okay, I did all the safety things for meeting this person, and everybody's like, oh, he's wonderful, blah, 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 and everything would just crumble. And it's like, but I did all the safety things. I did all the things you're supposed to do. What went wrong? And it's because I was attracted to what I understood versus being attracted to what was healthy. Because I didn't know what healthy was. I didn't know what any of that stuff was because I never got to see it, never got to be around it very often. And it's really hard to move forward when that's all you know. So if you're in that situation, just be patient with yourself. In time, you will learn the red flags to avoid. And now I can spot them a mile away, and it's like, really? How interesting. Wow. You know, it's just like I finally had to learn the hard way in order to protect myself so I can be in much more positive environments. That was a long time coming. Let's keep going. We're gonna keep skipping because this is over an hour-long interview.
Remember, you know, with the system, you know, we trusted these people. Like, they have to go through background checks and everything.
Foster care system.
So it's just upsetting to hear
And
this.
that's the thing that people don't think about is there's people who don't have records. They're squeaky clean. You know, you probably if somebody got into a room with 20 people, out of every third woman and out of every fifth man, those people are going to have some form of abuse or issues that deal with abuse in their life.
So where I get this information from is I am a certified domestic abuse advocate. So I go around and I talk to people and I help them and get them the resources and things that they need. That's where I learned about all this information. This is where I learned how to interact properly and delicately for people who are victims, both male or female. So, but it's true. I mean, think about all the people that you know, and you're going to be surprised that the people that you know, there's, even if they never talk about, 1 out of 3 women, 1 out of 5. That's the average for male and female. I think it's 1 out of 4, a quarter of the populace. Doesn't matter what your gender is, you have been through some horrific crap, and it's going to influence you for the rest of your life. Quarter of the populace, and that's, I still think that's and it's an underestimate. I think it's honestly every 2 out of 3, because when when you have a culture that thinks that treating women is a certain way, you think treating kids is a certain way, and that's abusive, that's still trauma. It's when trauma becomes a culture of acceptance. Well, that's just the way I grew up. That's how it's supposed to be. No, it's not how it's supposed to be. We now have the science, we have the education to know better, to do better. Okay? There is much healthier and better ways than just beating a child or your woman into the ground to force them to do what you want. It doesn't work like that, and nor should it. Grow and learn. But when you get abusers who make excuses and they are doing all these things that they'll make any excuse to make their behaviors and choices okay. And that's not okay. It really isn't. So yeah, if you're hearing this crap and you're like, something inside you is like, this doesn't feel right, this feels wrong, it probably isn't right, and it probably is wrong. Okay? And you should listen to that and start educating yourself. Go online, look up healthy ways of having a relationship, healthy ways to raise your children. There's resources everywhere out there for free. You don't even need to pay out any money. You can go to a library and go online and look it up. Talk to your librarian. Talk to anybody who's a social worker or works into the mental health field. And it's like, I need help. I know I can't afford to pay you, but can you at least send me in the right direction? Oh, trust me. They love what they do. That's why they went in huge debts in America to go do the things that they do. They will love to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help, either as a victim or as the abuser. Okay? Because nobody's perfect. And we all have room to grow. And we all have the ability to be a better person, which benefits us all.
She oversaw me. She didn't like what I did. I did that for a little while.
Oh, I'm talking about Lucas. Come here. Up. This handsome boy. This is my service dog, Lucas. Say hello. Lucas just turned 3 this month in April. And I've had him since he was 7 weeks. I helped train him myself. And he's very, very brilliantly smart. But he's also a little addicted to this. So, up, lie down, good boy. But otherwise, he's brilliant. The only issue I have with him is he likes to chase vehicles inside my car. So when we go driving down the road, he is an obnoxious. He doesn't poop, he doesn't dig, he doesn't try to chew up any. He's not like that kind of obnoxious. He just gets so excited. It sounds like I'm murdering my dog. Like, I can't even have my windows down when we go to the FAIRGROUNDS. Places where you see fairs, carnivals, and critters. Okay? I can't say the words because he goes nuts. He can spell. Okay? So he's a brilliant dog, but the way he gets excited, it sounds like I'm murdering my dog. So I can't have the windows down because people are like, what are you doing to that dog? Be nice to that. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go take him to this place where he really, really likes so he can go spaz out and have fun. I promise you I'm not killing my dog. But yeah, that's how he sounds. Or he likes to chase semis inside the car, and if I don't buckle him up, he will slam his face right into the window. It's nuts. I love him to bits, but my dog's nuts. Only in my car. Otherwise, he is the perfect gentleman. He's really good with other dogs. He's good with cats. He's pretty patient. He loves children. He's just the perfect service dog. Yes, you are. You're just so handsome, and I love you so much. And he's wonderful. I love him. But he does have a book. It's Lucas, Service Dog. You can find it at my website, genrestubby.com/shop. You'll see him there. If you buy it from my website and not Amazon, you will get it's stamped and signed, and you'll get some other stuff and pictures and all kinds of little things that I like to throw in there. And so don't be afraid to go get that. Yes. And then if you are a teacher who happens to be listening to this, and you would like me to do a video with Louie and talking about what it takes to lie down all the way, good boy. about what it takes to train a dog, or get to see him, and you can see him do tricks, and the kids can talk, and I'll be happy to read the book. Let me know. Just send me a comment. I'll be happy to. I would love that, and I promise I won't cuss. Because I noticed I've done that a lot already. Let's continue.
A nurse, I could kind of understand why she's that way, because you know, you're trained to understand how to handle it. So there's a little bit of forgiveness for those who weren't trained. But when you're trained and you have to constantly keep up, because I know she was trained. I listened through all of her pamphlets because I was a bored farm kid. I read all her medical stuff. She was trained for this. I know what she had to pass in order to adopt me or even have me in her home.
All right. So, who I'm talking about is my adopted mother. She is a licensed x-ray technician. She was a licensed nurse. In order to adopt a child, you have to go through all these classes. In order to become a foster care parent, you have to go through all these classes. Well, I found all of this stuff in the attic, and I started reading through it, and my heart sank, because that's when I realized I had been horrifically abused as a child, and she knew it. I had tried going to her, and it's like, once I read this, I go, I need to talk to somebody. I need to talk to somebody to help me deal with this. And I tried telling her some of the things I was starting to remember, and she looked at me and she's like, nobody wants to hear that kind of stuff. And then she turned away and walked off, like, and left me there. And I'm like, this is your job. This is your job as a parent, is to give me help so I can be the best person I can be, so when I become an adult, I can be a good adult. Like, this is your job. You, in the pamphlet, in this little book thing, it talked about, if you notice these signs like bedwetting, inappropriate knowledge, like really good understanding of how sex works at a really young age, or acting out in sexual manners, these are all signs that a child has been sexually abused. I was displaying these things, you know. I knew far more than I should have. I was acting out sexually, and the only reason I stopped acting like that was because my peers made me feel embarrassed. It's like, well, that's not normal. I'm like, it's not? Then why was it constantly happening in almost every single foster home I was in, at my mother's own place? Why? And it happened even in the adoption home by her son. So obviously this is a pretty normal thing, right? No, it's not. And she knew it, and she refused to go take me to a therapist to help me deal with this. When I got to high school, I finally was like, no, I need help. Like, I need help. And so the counselor started giving me therapy, like worksheets and things, and I started doing my own therapies and trying to figure out what the heck was going on with me and how could I help myself and all this stuff, which was brilliant. I'm so glad I did it. Anyways, yeah, I'm still ticked off at her. Still to this day, I am still so angry, because where I am at right now, I should have been in like my late 20s or early 30s. Not still struggling as I am now. I am so frustrated and hurt, because so much of my time has been dealt with trauma and learning all this stuff that should have been taught to me when I was a child. So maybe by the time I hit my 20s, I could have done college and I could have done all these things and had a fairly normal life despite it all. But no, I wasn't allowed. She didn't care. And I suffered for decades for it. I still suffer from it. It's just, I am so angry about that, because so much I am still grieving over the loss of time and healthy relationships and the abuse I endured because I didn't know better, and all could have been prevented. I could have been a better mother. I could have been a better friend. I could have been a better, family member. I just could have been an overall better person if I had just gotten the help I'm getting now back then. And I didn't. And I not only paid for it, but my children paid for it. My friends have paid for it. The people who are trying to help take care of me right now are paying for it. And I'm pissed. I'm so pissed because of it. It's not just affected me. When a child has been abused and it goes and they grow up like me, it's now a society issue. Because now I'm disabled. I am now on government grants and fundage. The taxpayers are paying my way in order to live and survive and heal. Okay? Because I can't work a normal job. I can't do all these other things. And so it's very exhausting. It's very exhausting on society. It's very exhausting for the people around me. And it's extremely exhausting for me. Because I feel guilty and ashamed because I have become dependent on a system that treats me even more like crap. But I have no other choice to be on it. Social Security, SSI, not SSDI, but SSI, is like the bottom of the barrel of help that you can get. And no, you cannot survive on it. You can't. You absolutely can't. And if you can find a place to live, it's not pretty. It becomes even more of a health hazard. You gotta be really careful and very, very lucky to find anything you can live on that's healthy when you're on SSI. It's a nightmare. And that's why I'm hoping that my YouTube channel takes off. I'm hoping as an artist I take off. As a writer I take off. So maybe down the road, I'm no longer the dependent. I am helping people. I can be the boss and I can actually pay a team to help me with my YouTube channel. And I can actually be an employer and be giving back that way. That's what I would love. I would love to finally be on the opposite side of this imbalance that I've dealt with and be able to give back to and provide and be nourishing versus being dependent and having to take and take and take because I'm still struggling and healing and figuring things out. That is the goal of all of this, is I'll be able to give back fully, right? Anyways, let's continue.
Pets with their children. Like my first son's father threatened me if I.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay, ladies, I want you, or men, if your partner is starting to choke you out, you are in serious danger and you need to leave ASAP. Get out of there, call the cops, because when you get to the point where your domestic abuse partner is starting to choke, your likelihood of survival goes way down. Like, you know, they start going from the beatings to hurting you to trying to choke you out. You are in serious danger. You got to get out of there as soon as possible because your likelihood of being killed goes up. Okay? You got to go. Okay? You got to figure out a way to safely go there. If you're in the US, 211 is a good one. Waypoint here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Even if you call them and you're out of state, they will help find you resources where you're at, so you can go to them and get the help. So that way you can get a safety plan going. They can help you get out of there much more quickly and more safely, and help prevent making sure that your abuser is kept arm's way, you know. And because the first 2 years after you leave is extremely dangerous for the victim. For me, when I was raped the day before my 25th birthday, the guy who did it every 3 or 4 months for 4 or 5 years just kept trying to contact me, and just the stalking was relentless. And he did it in a way where he wouldn't get in trouble. He did it through online. He did it through email. I would shut down that email. I would change my numbers over and over and over again. I had one guy, the father of my youngest, he would call up my old telephone and just leave these horrific, graphic, sexual, just like horrible things. And one of the kids that I had grown close to, who was trying to find me, called that number, and the guy was pissed. He's like, I don't know who this Stubby is, but you need to tell her to tell these people that they're screwed up. what the fuck? And I'm like, exactly why I changed my number, and I'm glad it was not given to a child. That was like one of the stipulations, like, you got to make sure that this phone number is not given to a child. These people are so graphic, horribly graphic. Like, this number should just be canceled for at least 5 or 10 years until these people get it through their heads they can't get a hold of me anymore. It was, oh god, it was insane. Anyways, it's just, yeah, you notice those red flags, find help and get out. You gotta get out ASAP. Your life's in danger. Your likelihood to be killed is like rising with each time he touches you. One survival technique I recommend doing, for me that worked, is if you are getting choked by your partner, go limp. Don't fight him, go limp. One, if he does decide to continue, you're not using up your oxygen, so you can focus where you need to focus. Okay, you want to hit, like, you can go in here, push in and down, slam your palm here, try to hit here, and rip off the, just take your ears and go like this. These are self-defense moves, okay? You use these for self-defense. So if you're getting to that point and you're realizing this guy isn't going to let up, now you're calm, okay? And he's not going to expect it if you just all of a sudden reach up and just and go nuts. Like, surviving is not going to be pretty. Okay, if you watch any nature videos, watching a predator take down their prey, it's not a very beautiful sight. You are prey to a predator. You're gonna have to fight ugly. There is no rules in survival. You just gotta do what you gotta do to survive. So this is something you can do. Go like, see how my thumbs are like this? Right into the eyeballs. Push as hard as you can. He pops his eyes, screw it. He just deserves it. The moment that somebody sits there and touches you inappropriately without your permission, they do not deserve your respect anymore, because they're not showing you the respect you deserve. Okay? I'm telling you, do what it takes to survive and figure out the rest in court later. Your life is worth fighting for. Okay? So if you start getting a lot of this, try to go limp, because usually when I did that to him, it took the fun out of it, and so he would just give up. Like a couple seconds later, he's like, oh. And then it gives you a chance to take a deep breath, and then you can reevaluate your situation and be able to see if maybe you need a weapon, or if he's just given up, whatever. So going super limp and just not fighting it takes the pain away. It takes the fun out of it for them, because this is why they do it. They're getting something out of it by hurting you. So you're taking that away from them by not having that fight response. And if by chance they still continue, then you'll be able to reevaluate your situation much more calmly and figure out a much more appropriate way to attack back to save your life. So being calm in those situations is vital. So if someone's doing that, just go limp and see what happens, and then you can go from there. Something I learned, and it makes the choking a lot less painful too. So that's my advice on that. Let's see what else we got here.
Out, feel it, because the sooner you can feel those emotions, the easier it is. You're going to start learning the skill set. So when it happens again, because it comes in cycles, it's not.
Okay, here what I'm talking about is the flashbacks. When you have survived a lot of abuse, you get flashbacks. You dissociate. And what a flashback feels like, if you were a daydreamer in school or even now, it's, you remember the visuals that you get or the hearing, you just kind of zone out. It's like that, but it's like you're there again. Like, you can feel your body, you can feel the sensations, you can still hear things. Like, I still hear the foster kids screaming in the back of my, like, it's still there. I can't ever get rid of that. It's just so ingrained into my memory that I still hear children screaming. That just doesn't stop. So when you start learning these skill sets to help you deal with flashbacks, you have grounding, You can have EMDR, you can have cognitive therapy, you can have desensitization therapy. You'll be doing all different kinds of therapies to hope to give you the skill set so you can just do your everyday life. So when I first when I was in Mount Pleasant, I finally got a good therapist, and I was so traumatized. Just to step out my door, I would pee my pants. That was how terrified I was of the world, because I had been so brutally hurt and used that I was scared. I was absolutely terrified of being outside. And so I dealt with it, and I got all the therapies, and it takes a while for all of that to work. Like, I still have flashbacks after over 2 decades of therapy. I still have flashbacks. I still have these issues. I still have the PTSD. I still have issues, but they're a lot easier to deal with. So instead of something that would take me weeks to get over, now that I have my puppers, I can calm down hopefully within minutes. So for example, going grocery shopping is still really hard for me because all the people, the crowding, colors will start triggering things, people's conversations, their smells, all of it. I'm very hyper vigilant, and so it sounds like there's a rock band, like you got the speakers right here and you feel and hear everything. It's unbearable at times. But when that happens and I start to sense it, I finally learned how to start seeing the cues that, oh, I'm starting to have a panic attack. Oh, I'm starting to get triggered. I'll come down, I'll pet my dog, or I'll just bury my face in his fur for like 5 seconds. And it's like magic. It's like the volume just slowly gets turned down. Am I still having the panic attack? Yeah. At least then I can go and finish my grocery shopping and then rush to the car. I might not be able to go to the next few stops, but I'll be able to at least finish that particular task. If I'm super lucky and I catch it really, really quickly, then I might be able to do the next task on my to-do list. But there's still times like I've left carts and just ran out. I literally ran out of stores and left everything in the cart and just ran, because my sense of fear and panic and that I'm in serious danger and I need to go, gotta go now, is so strong. Even when there's nothing in, I can be in a room. This is the thing that I hate about. I could be in a room full of people I know who would never hurt me, who love me, honor me, cherish me, support me, believe in me. Have all those people be surrounding me, all my favorite people, and I will still feel like I'm in danger. And that sooner or later, because of my history, because people started out nice and then flipped, and then I will still always have that sense of I'm in danger, and even by people who I know would never hurt me. I can't get rid of it. It's nothing against them. It's just that my past has taught my body and my brain and my spirit, like, you can't trust anyone, ever. And it sucks. I hate it. Some people do take it personally, and some people really, like, they might raise their hand or they might judge. I don't even realize I do it. I might not even realize I jerk away, and I'll just like keep talking like nothing happened. And why did you jerk? And I'm like, I did. No, like, it doesn't register because my body's just doing what it needs to do. And people take that personally, and I really wish they wouldn't, because it has nothing to do with them. It's not their fault. But that's what I mean by the repercussions of it affecting people around me. You know, they might wave to somebody at the ceiling, and I might jerk because I think it's a hand's coming at me to slap me across the face, because that's what I'm used to. And they'll be like, you okay? Huh? Yeah, I'm cool. Well, yes. You flinch when I waved, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That's abuse history. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault. You're cool. And I hate having to explain that, but now they're on edge. Now they're going to be like, okay, I have to be really careful about how I move around Stubby. And I hate that, because they shouldn't. I want them to be just as calm and as relaxed as anybody. I want to be able to wave to their friends without having to worry about, will this affect Stubby? I hate that. I hate it, because it's not my fault, and it's not their fault. that I am this way. It's the people who chose to abuse an innocent child who had no ability to fight back and do whatever the hell they wanted to do to the kids, because they don't care about the consequences of what they're going to do, because they only care about themselves. Oh, I'm so frustrated, because it's not just me, it's happening to millions upon millions of people around the world, and it's exhausting to keep up with, and the mess that it creates, and it's got to stop. We've got to stop hurting each other somehow, some way. Anyways,
they will zone in on you, and that's not your fault. That's them knowing better and choosing to do you wrong and abusing your blind trust. That's not your fault. Your job, though, is to learn how not to be around those people. And
alright, it's not your fault you were abused, but it is your responsibility to clean up that mess. Is it fair? No. It's not fair. I have to clean up decades of crap because of somebody else's choices that they did to me. Okay? It's not fair, but it's still my responsibility, because we are living in this body, and we have to do the things that are required as a citizen, as a mother, as a friend, as a pet owner, as just a human being in general. We have requirements as our own species to help each other and to grow and blossom, right? That's what you're supposed to be doing. So even though it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility, and it's not easy. It's going to get ugly. So in this part, I was talking about how facing your inner monster, okay? I use this term a lot because even if you're naturally not a hurtful person, you're not these monsters that are out there, you still have some ugliness within you. Everybody does. It doesn't matter if you're a saint, it doesn't matter if you're a sinner. You have ugliness within you that you have to face. Maybe it's shame because you were raped, and that ugliness shuts you down, it hurts you, you have a hard time with relationships, you're having a hard time bonding with your kids or whoever, right? It's your job to figure out how to heal that so you yourself can be a happier person, because when you're a happier person, everyone around you becomes happier, you know? And if everybody takes responsibility for their healing and growth versus like, well, it's all your fault. Well, yeah, it might be their fault that you're that way, but it's still your responsibility not to be that way. You know what I mean? And it sucks that somebody else's choice did that to you, but it's still your responsibility to heal and to take control of your life so the cycle breaks. And unfortunately, some people won't ever be able to do that. Some people die because of it. They get hooked on drugs or booze because that's the only coping mechanism they have. And one of the things I mentioned towards the end of this is whatever coping mechanism that you do have, don't be ashamed of it, okay? Some people turn to drugs, some people turn to cutting, some people turn to booze and drugs, or you know, there's healthy ways to handle things, and there's obviously unhealthy things, and sometimes you don't know what the healthy things are, so you don't do the bad things, you can do the good things. And that's where education and helping our children, that's why I think psychology, like I took psychology in high school, I learned quite a bit from that class. That was really helpful. Good health classes that teach you about mental illness and how to deal with stress, how to deal with peer pressure, how to deal with all these things, how to know how to be respected and how to handle them and where to go. Knowing where you go for these resources is extremely vital to having the ability to make what has happened to you okay again, you know, to make you be able to be a happier person, to take that responsibility. And the information's out there. You know, if you don't know and you're not sure what to do and you need like questions about where to look, just tell me in the comments and I'll try to look up the info for you and I will respond to the best of my ability. If I don't know and I can't find it, I'll try to find somebody who can. So yeah, anyways, let's see what else we got on here.
So I think
Coming
you're
on the show.
You're welcome. You're doing a kick-ass job yourself.
She's
Thank
awesome.
you. Well,
You're very welcome.
thank you again, and then thank you everyone out there for listening.
I agree. If you gotten through this, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me blab about my interview. Now for the good news. She loved me. She loved me being on her show, and to the point where she said, like, would you ever come back? And I said yes. This time in video. So I am so stoked. I believe in this woman. She's doing amazingly good things, trying to help victims, getting their stories out. Really just showing the world that there is hope. There are wins despite it all. And if you have more questions about what's happened to me and things like that, just send it down in the comments. You know, if you would like to know, remember, if you want to know more about Crystal, look down in the basement and check that out. And you know, and if you want to tell her your story, she would love to listen, and maybe we'll even get on the show yourself. So there's so much amazing things that this woman is trying to get done. I'm still learning all the things that she's trying to do to help people. She's a beautiful, kind-hearted woman, and I am so tremendously proud of her for standing up against a judge. Oh my God, woman, you're such a badass. I love it. I really, truly do hope I am inspiring people as much as you are going to inspire people. Keep up the amazingly good work, Crystal. I am so proud of you, and I hope that I am inspiring people, and I hope in that through my art, through my music, through the kung fu, through just me being we and you know, and yeah, I'm gonna leave this here at this point, and so that way I can edit it. And oh my goodness, I got allergies from pets. It's driving me nuts. But anyways, you guys have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you're at in this world. Just remember, you do matter. You are important. You are worthy of love and kindness, and you can make your life better. You can grab control. There is ways, there is options. You got this, okay? Don't give up. Don't give up. I promise you, sooner or later, good things are going to start to happen. In my case, it took over 4 decades. So you can hold on to that long and keep focusing and going. It will happen. And I really do believe this channel, my art, my kung fu is going to make a difference on this world. I really, truly believe it. And I can't make that happen without yous. Without yous and you and you and you and you and you and you. And especially you. Especially you. Yeah. I'm really talking about you. Subscribe, hit that like bell, ring the bell, blah, 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 blah. Do the thing so I can continue doing my thing, so we can do our thing together.